I woke to a low, guttural growl vibrating through the floorboards. Harlow was already at the front door. Her fur bristled, teeth just barely bared. It was 7:03 a.m., and the sky outside was a dull pewter, clouds hanging low over Flagstaff like they hadn't quite decided whether to cry or not. I sat up slowly, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. "Harlow." My voice cracked, barely audible. She didn't look at me. She stared at the door, motionless but tense, her muscles coiled like a spring. That dog had seen coyotes, drunks, thunder, even a bear once. But I'd never heard her sound like this. Not once. I shuffled into the kitchen, barefoot, trying to shake off the fog of a dream I didn't want to remember. Sealed walls, no air, and someone whispering, "Don't go." It clung to me like humidity. I made coffee my morning ritual of survival, grounding, something normal. The smell of ground beans was usually a bomb. Not today. The vibration of my phone cut through the silence. A message from Rhett beyond time. Dress appropriately. Just 6 words, but they landed like a brick in my stomach. Funny, I muttered. How some reminders sound like orders. Behind me, Harlow scratched at the vent near the baseboard, then padded back to the door and whined head low. That wasn't her way. She didn't whine. Not unless something was really wrong. Ever ignored your gut just to keep peace in the family? By 8 a.m., a knock came at the door. A delivery driver in a blue cap handed me an envelope with my name printed on the front, all caps mechanical. Inside, a form titled Family Member Verification. I stared. What even is this? 3 pages of fine print, waivers, signatures. No mention of food, seating, or times. Just acknowledgement of participation and a vaguely phrased attendance clause. My phone pinged. "Colton, just sign it. Don't start drama today." Drama? I exhaled, sharp and humorless. I flipped the last page. A signature line sat cold at the bottom waiting. "No one ever gives you a contract for lasagna and family games," I muttered. Harlow growled the moment my pen hit paper. Not at me at the window. That's when it started to click. The words on that document weren't just odd. They were off. But it was too late. I'd already signed. And for some reason, it felt like I'd signed away something I couldn't get back. What would you have done if everyone acted like you were the problem? The phone rang again. Adelaide. "Marin," she said. Her voice clipped, no warmth. "Don't embarrass us today." I clenched my jaw. Of course not. I'd hate to ruin your perfect picture. Silence. Then the line went dead. I stood there, phone still in hand, suddenly 10 years old again, remembering her telling me to use the back door until I was ready to be seen. Rhea texted next. Mom's tense. "Don't trigger her. Just come." Rhea, always the diplomat, the middle child peacemaker who never picked sides but always stayed just far enough away from the mess. She used to defend me. Now, she just wanted me quiet. Adelaide's voice echoed in my head. "Don't let people think you came for leftovers." Ever been told you don't belong by your own blood? By 10 o'clock, I was dressed, keys in hand. I reached for the door, and Harlow lunged. She blocked the exit, hackles raised, snarling so loud it rattled my chest. "Move, Harlow." My voice cracked, half pleading, half furious. "What's wrong with you?" Her teeth snapped an inch from my arm. My breath caught. I checked the porch cam from my phone. A man stood in the shadows of the overhang. Not Rhett, not a neighbor, just standing, still, watching, then gone. My phone pinged again, a text from an unknown number. "If you leave, you'll lose more than time." It vanished 3 seconds later. Harlow grabbed my sleeve, yanked hard, nearly tore it. Then she turned and barked, not at the door, but at the vent again. The same one she'd scratched earlier. Something groaned in the ductwork. Not mechanical, not animal, something else. "She's never acted like this," I whispered. "Not even when that drunk neighbor tried to break in." Would you trust your dog over your own family? I stood still, hand hovering near the doorknob but not touching it. The wind outside shifted. The chimes on the porch clinked once, a single sharp note that seemed to pierce the morning. Harlow sat back, quiet now, alert. I whispered, "I'll wait." I stepped back toward the kitchen. Behind me, the door stayed closed. The call came at 11:05. Rhett's name lit up the screen, his contact photo blurry from years of never updating it. My thumb hovered. The wind outside had settled, but inside, everything felt jagged. I answered. His voice was chaos. "They're Marin, they're all down. Everyone who went in is." He choked on the words. There was noise behind him, sirens, static, voices layered over voices, and then faintly someone near him whispered, "She can't know yet." I stepped into the hallway, barefoot on cool hardwood, phone pressed tight to my ear. What happened? My voice barely rose above a whisper. "They're gone," Rhett gasped. "Colton, Mom, Rhea, even Jonah, everyone who showed. They collapsed, like it was all at once." "What do you mean gone?" My mouth dried, dead. His breathing turned ragged. "It's the gas," they said. "Carbon monoxide. A leak or something. I don't understand. I stepped out for a second. I wasn't even in the room." He sobbed, the sound sharp, unfamiliar. I had heard Rhett raise hell, raise glasses, raise deals, but I had never heard him cry. Then his tone shifted, hardening. "You should have been there." "What?" You were supposed to be there. This wasn't." "Wasn't what?" I asked, voice trembling. The line went quiet. Ever heard someone cry and still doubted their tears? My phone buzzed again, this time with an emergency alert. I stared at the screen. Flagstaff PD emergency. Gas leak reported at 1912 North Alder Ridge. Emergency crews on site. My stomach dropped. That was the estate. The place they rented for the gathering. The place I was supposed to be. I turned on the TV. Local news flashed a live helicopter view, emergency tents, EMTs kneeling over still bodies covered in silver blankets. Reporters fumbled through statements, the feed jumpy and frantic. The screen scrolled a list of family attendees. My name wasn't there. I was the only one who wasn't. I didn't breathe. I couldn't. They made me feel excluded, and now I was the exception. How do you forgive people who tried to erase you, then died trying? I turned off the TV and looked at the envelope on the kitchen table. The contract I'd signed that morning. My fingers shook as I opened it again, skimming the fine print. Midway down the second page, a clause stood out. Policy activates only when all verified family members are present in designated event location. All. Every single name had to be there. I hadn't shown up. They'd gathered. They'd verified. But without me, the policy didn't go through. I wasn't supposed to survive. I was supposed to verify. I stumbled backward, then sat. Harlow pressed against me, warm and still. A flashback rushed in, Colton leaning on the fence days before. "Just sign it," he'd said, grinning. "It's nothing. Just the guest list. You know how Mom is." He knew. I picked up my phone and called Jonah Keats, our family's longtime estate attorney. His voice on the other end was strained. "Jonah," I said, I think I was never meant to survive." He paused too long. "Marin," he said carefully, "you should talk to the police." Harlow growled low, watching the door again. "If your absence saved your life, was it luck? Or was someone watching over you?" The phone rang again. Rhett again. I picked up. His voice this time was cold steel. "You messed everything up," he hissed. "All of it." "What are you talking about?" "You'll understand soon enough," he said, then hung up. No crying now. Just blame. A notification buzzed in, an anonymous sender. One video file. I clicked it. The screen showed a hallway, gray carpet, walls I recognized from the Alder Ridge estate. Sophia. She coughed, staggered, propping herself on a table. She looked at the camera, eyes watery, lips moving. She sat at my laptop, opened my email. My login name glowed on the corner. She typed. The angle didn't show everything, but her body trembled. And then she slumped. Collapsed trying to become me. I dropped the phone. She tried to take my place, I whispered, sliding down to the floor. She saved me. Would you risk your life to protect someone who never truly belonged? I crawled toward the coffee table, where my laptop still sat open. There it was. One unsent message, drafted at 10:37 a.m. To me. I didn't open it. Not yet. I stared at the blinking cursor, that little pulsing light. Breathing. Still here. Outside, the emergency broadcast repeated on the TV. All survivors are advised to contact local authorities. My hand hovered over the keyboard. How many things did I not see? I whispered, because I wanted peace. The cursor blinked again. If survival is a choice, then it's time I start choosing. 3 weeks after the incident, I walked into the courtroom as quietly as a person can while still feeling every eye turn. People expected a spectacle. Rage, grief, some dramatic collapse. But I wasn't here to break. I was here to build the record. Facts don't shake. People do. Detective Mira Langford sat near the front, a stack of files on her lap. When I passed her, she gave a small nod. I didn't return it. Not because I didn't appreciate her, but because the moment I acknowledged anyone, it meant I was ready to feel something. I wasn't. Not yet. Adelaide sat in the second row, hands clasped, eyes red. She looked up at me with the kind of hope that comes from desperation, not love. I didn't meet her gaze. If I gave her an inch, she'd rewrite an entire lifetime around it. I handed the judge the evidence, my thumb drive with the video of Sophia collapsing, the signed contract with the attendance clause, the screenshot of the anonymous message, the records of the insurance policy. I spoke plainly. No theatrics. Just truth lined up in a row. When Mira testified, she spoke with a steadiness I envied. She laid out the pattern, the motive, the numbers. She explained how my absence nullified the payout. How every detail pointed not to accident, but to planning. Rhett sat across from us, pale and heavy-eyed, a hospital bracelet still around his wrist. He looked like a man who had drowned in his own scheme. I didn't posture for the cameras, waiting outside. I didn't make a statement to the reporters, asking if I felt vindicated. Some victories are quiet on purpose. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just undeniable. Later that afternoon, Jonah Keats waited for me in the lobby with an envelope in his hands. His expression told me everything before he spoke. She wrote it a week before the gathering, he said. Told me to hold it, just in case. My throat tightened. I took the envelope. It was late. Too late for the weight it held. Back home, I sat on the floor beside Harlow, who pressed into my side as if she knew what the letter contained before I did. The paper smelled faintly of lavender. Sophia's old scent. Her handwriting curved softly across the page. Marin, I don't know what they're planning, but something is wrong. I've heard half conversations, seen looks I can't explain. I don't know how to save us, so I'm going to save you. If this letter reaches you, please don't carry guilt that isn't yours. Carry purpose. You've always been stronger than the cage they built around you. Sophia. I read it twice. 3 times. My tears didn't fall. They sat heavy behind my ribs, like a storm refusing to break. I folded the letter gently, slid it back into the envelope, and whispered, I'll make this mean something. Ever been given a second chance and not known what to do with it? That became my compass. A month later, I volunteered with a school HVAC safety program. Not for penance, for practice. Harlow walked beside me, now trained to pick up the faint change in air that had once terrified her. During an inspection at Willow Creek Elementary, Harlow froze. Her body stiffened, tail tucked, ears pinned. Then she barked. One sharp burst, then another, then a frantic volley. I ran to the vent she faced. A faint metallic tang drifted out. The maintenance staff opened the sealed unit and stumbled back as the gas monitor screamed. We evacuated 12 children and 3 teachers. They stood outside clutching each other, breath visible in the cold morning air, alive because a dog wouldn't stop barking. News crews came. The interviewer asked me how I knew to trust Harlow. We listen to instincts now, I said, and we act. What would you do if your second chance let you save others? The story spread, and with it, the truth of my family's death resurfaced. Rhett tried rewriting the narrative. He hired a PR firm, sat in a polished studio, casting himself as a victim of misfortune, hinting I had manipulated documents. He spoke about family betrayal with a practiced tremble in his voice. But lies sprint. Truth walks, slow, steady, relentless. Mira released the uncut footage to the court and the public. Rhett's whispered during the emergency call. The clause in the contract. Sophia collapsing. The attempt to log into my account. It all spread like wildfire, this time burning through his version, not mine. People online called him what he was, a man who tried to profit from tragedy and tripped on his own greed. I didn't comment, not once. When asked by a reporter how I felt about the backlash he faced, I answered, "Dignity is louder than retaliation." Nothing more. The final hearing happened just before summer heat settled over Flagstaff. Rhett was convicted on multiple charges: insurance fraud, reckless endangerment, criminal negligence. His face barely flickered when the sentence was read. He looked less like a man who lost and more like a man finally seeing himself clearly. Adelaide approached me afterward, hands trembling, breath thin. "I didn't know," she whispered. "You didn't look," I said. "There's a difference." She cried. I didn't. I wished her peace, not forgiveness, and walked away. Back home, the sun was lowering, shadows stretching long across the porch. A small package sat by the door, plain brown, no return address. Harlow growled, low and sharp, the same way she had the morning. Everything changed. I bent down slowly, heart beating once, twice, too hard. My name was written across the front, in red ink.